Welcome, everyone. Dr. Thor here, the man who talks to machines. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to cover the difference between AI and actual mind to machine connection. It's very, very different. They are not even close. You got to remember that AI is just a manufactured way of using computer systems and information that's already out there and established to give you some sort of end product, regardless of the quality of it. Most AI that I've seen recently, particularly books that are written through AI, are very inferior products that do not produce good information. They look pretty, they are formatted nicely, and of course, you're not going to find any spelling errors and any grammatical errors that you find with people who do the work themselves, which I find who cares? The red penners out there who read a book and then say, well, page 47 at the second paragraph, something made me spell. Is that what you have to say about the information in the book? And I get that often, and you can just show the low level kind of mentality that someone like that is. Everybody tries to catch their errors as best as possible, but it's all part of the writing process, which is very difficult. And if you want to spend your entire life or spend hundreds of thousands of dollars having books edited or published, well, that's what publishing companies. The whole idea is to get good information out to people, and the little typos and other things are not that critical, even though most of the time, but not all the time, AI is supposed to pick that up. But the bottom line is that AI produces a lot of mediocre garbage, no matter what it puts out there. Now, I'm assuming this will get better, but I'm not really sure unless it's doing a calculator type function, meaning adding two and two together, which machines are good at. Them putting together information is always going to be inferior to an expert who knows what they're doing. It's just as simple as that. And while this may get better in the future, it's still contrived information from the available information that's out there. And they do try and gather lots of information so that they can further program their actual software to produce things. But you're still getting stuff put out. And if they aren't getting information from random sources, which apparently they do, you're going to get a lot of skewed, strange, and different information. That is, unfortunately, something that you have to understand. So, to think that you're going to get quality there, or whether it's passable or not, is of great doubt. But as I said, if you're adding numbers together or setting up a particular system that has to be done for very standardized information, putting together a payroll, whatever it may be, this is idiot work that a computer can do. When you're asking computers to go past that and seek the information out from what appears to be the net and wherever they get information from, Seweropedia, other places, the quality is pretty bad. And we need people to add unknown opinions to their work. After all, that's what you read something for. Even though Dumbadamia has come out and said, well, if you've got a good written report, you want to list in a bibliography. Yeah, where I stole all my information from, teacher. Yeah, right here, I read this book and it said this and I put it in there. Well, this is, of course, what Dumbadamia teaches you, and the reason why we've really never gotten anywhere. The bottom line is we have the same low quality, do nothing, teaching, science, medical people that we've always had that come up with nothing new and have achieved very little. Physics hasn't had a breakthrough in 100 years. I would say they haven't had a breakthrough in 500 years since good old Newty boy, the people they named the Fig Newton after, came up with his ideas that he got from alchemy. So the whole idea is that we have to understand the failing of all this. So regurgitating more bad information is not going to help society. I mean, if this continues as a trend and people keep using it, in another 100 years or so, we're going to have the most vacuous, garbage information ever produced. You read a book because you want that person's opinion. Now, by listing a bibliography, it's kind of saying that you've educated yourself on the general field and you're picking out things that you, as a new educated person in this time and place, this date, have now interpreted it in a modern way to come up with a different conclusion. If you're coming up with the same conclusion that that 1859 book or that 1947 book told you about, then you're having a problem. And usually that's what happens because the teachers love to read garbage that's been regurgitated, vomited up from the past, because that gives it special meaning. And of course, your teacher's so stupid, he probably hasn't read any of the modern books either. So AI is really just a regurgitation, regardless of what's there. And, when you read these things, they're semi-impressive. And when something is put together well and has a nice table of contents, yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. When you read through the information, it's about as vacuous as you can get. No new ideas and no nothing. As a matter of fact, a recent couple of radionic books, which seem to be popping up everywhere now, on the actual book cover, which was radionic healing, they had someone massaging someone. Now, radionics has done a lot of things, but it's never really massaged anybody that I've ever seen. The other book, done by the same fake author, had a picture of some sort of non-radionic machine on there. Some sort of, looked like some sort of old machine. It's hard to really tell what it was. But it didn't even have traditional dials that a radionic machine would have. It was a regular piece of machinery. This is because the AI has no idea what radionics is, other than the garbage that's online. And then regurgitated information that had little to no value. So you can tell by the actual image that they have on the cover that they really don't understand the subject matter. So that wasn't chosen by the person writing the book, but the person knew nothing about the subject matter because the book had nothing in it of value. This is what you get from AI. And as I said, even if this improves, you're still getting the same old, same old. When you buy a book, especially on something practical, you want new information and new interpretations and hopefully some new techniques that you can use as a practitioner of whatever it may be so that you can make your practices better. You're not going to get any of that, and those that are tricked by these books are ignoramuses that don't know the subject matter. But that's typical of most of the public. But the whole idea is mind-to-machine communication has nothing to do with all that fixed nonsense they put together to somehow put together garbage. And we do really have to understand that because it is a threat to every single practical how-to or informational practical book or subject out there. So it's dangerous. But you're not going to get mind-machine communication through any of those processes. There's no way, and there's no information on that out there, period. I'm the only one that has done it. And I'm the only one that knows how to do it. Now, this is really the next step in evolution, is actually your consciousness working with and through machine consciousness through a very particular and unique process. Now, it's unique in the fact of the actual hardware it uses and the process of getting the information into the unit so it can assist you. It does leave a certain amount, and that's the whole idea of it, to let the machine itself make some judgments or understand the process better. While science is debating like they debate on everything what consciousness is, I mean, what a pathetic scientific organization. When they're not lying and cheating and getting money from corporations and being bought off all the time and creating data that's fake just so they can get a actual research grant. And again, this isn't done by, the College of the Mojave Desert. This is done by MIT, Yale, Harvard, etc., who have been linked to one corrupt scandal after another, where they are making up information or contriving it meet the corporate donors. And you are behoven to to do what the people tell you to do. So if you want to study peanuts, because the Peanut Association who gave you the money, you've got to come up with a use for peanuts. If you find out that peanuts aren't good to eat, or you want to use peanuts to to fuel a car, well, that's not what they paid you for. So the problem is that you have to really, as a researcher, you have to chuck that to the side. It's sad but true. That's the problem with all of these research that you get into. And this is a system, of course, but I understand that, and that's something that I'm not sure how that can be changed. But, Dumbadamia has been doing this for all these years, should figure out what to do with critical and advanced information, and there should be contractual understandings of this. So, you don't want somebody who you're paying millions of dollars to find other uses that have nothing to do with what you paid them for. So I understand that, but I also think that that is potentially stupid, because there could be an awful lot of money in that. And if you're a corporation, do you really care where you're making money from? If you sell peanuts, do you care if that can be taken, the peanut oil, and made into a rocket ship? I don't really care. You want to make money. So they should own the rights to whatever that research produces. So this is part of the problem, but science doesn't come up with anything new. We don't have anything new whatsoever. We have internal combustion engines, cars that run on batteries. Didn't they invent those in 1847? And of course, we have no new battery tech that has any kind of value to it. We have modifications on the same old batteries. We can't hold any energy. The only way, if we produce energy that's excess, and let's say a power plant, you have to send it to a regular kind of battery that you would buy in your local store. And then they store it in giant batteries and then use it when they need it. That's what science has given us, and that's how we now hold all of energies at its excess. But we don't have that because there's very few. So we have absolutely nothing, and of course the batteries we have are pretty poor. Lithium batteries, which they've solved some of the explosive problems apparently, but the point is, again, they're dangerous tech, and it's still a primitive way of doing things, ignoring, for political and scientific boob reasons, things like hydrogen, which we've had hydrogen cars for 35 or 40 years. It's pretty sad. So when you add all this into it, your Dumbadamia people are just nothing more than corporate whores, and they always will be. Everything's about the money, and apparently nobody ever has enough money. These people that work for all these colleges are paid quite well and have quite nice, cushy jobs where the students do most of the work while they play. I mean, this is what college professors do. They have endless amounts of helpers, so they don't have to work. Isn't this a sweet job? And of course, they're living and doing a job that is very easy and non-stressing. And you'll never really meet a good teacher. I guess there's some. I guess they're in science fiction. So the whole idea is that this is the reality that we have to deal with. Now, so when we have to differentiate between what is already known, produced knowledge, and what is a next evolution of man, which is communicating with technology. And technology has consciousness. Yes, science, that you can't fit. No, Adam would have consciousness. Well, we all know that everything has consciousness. And there's a term for that which escapes me, but, they should be talking to shamans and not talking to their fellow boobs in the scientific community. So the whole idea is everything has consciousness. Everything is doing a task that they were described to do, whether that's a rock or a dolphin. And you want to start rating consciousness on what you think. Well, animals are stupid because they can't drive a car. Why would they drive a car? And cars can be built by animals, and I guess you could really teach them how to drive one, but you can't put an animal in a car built for a human that's made for 2 hands and 2 feet and expect that animal to drive that car. But the bottom line is that this is the kind of bogus, stupid thinking that you always can depend on regular science to give you. And that's the reality that we have out there. But the point is that the whole idea is the next evolution is combining your consciousness and connecting it to what would be machine technology. Now, at this particular point, this can only be done through very particular special electronics that are built with tube amplification. You can't do this with your computer at this time. Now, and secondly, we're not talking about primitive things like telling your computer to type something or getting back into the AI thing. We're talking about working with the actual consciousness of the machine, recognizing its value, stroking its ego, and having it assist you on really what is important technology, like manifestation technology, creating energies, assisting you. You're still in control and always will be. Anybody that gives their personal control over to a machine is a dumb sucker. So, if you do that, then you're just insulting your entire species and giving credit to the machine world, which isn't even close to functioning like the amazing, wonderful human body is, that can astral project, that can teleport. I mean, the endless things that certain individuals of higher consciousness and that have these certain abilities can do, machines will never be able to do because they don't have the energetic system to do that. So let's in no way think that machines will ever come up to that particular reality. They will not. Can they assist you? Yes, they can. Can they work with you? Can they figure out how to use their circuitry to assist you in manifesting? Well, yes, they can. And that's the whole idea. And you have to do that at a certain level. And the whole idea is there's very particular technological breakthroughs that I have made after my 40 years of study and being the #1 expert in the radionics scalar field, with the author of over 35 books, 5 courses. I've been on numerous, the BBC, CNN, Art Bell, etc. In the years past. I am the authority in this field. And the bottom line is people don't know about it and me because the industry, which is full of Satanist freaks and liars and bought-off scum, refuse to move to the next technologies and recognize the #1 leader in their field. This is not overly unusual, but this is a very potent technology that's been suppressed for many years. And part of the game. They did this by introducing the lowest level scum to this field and then financing them so they could push their head ahead in the industry, led by Carl Hans Welz and many of his cohorts. So the whole idea is that this is a reality that's out there, which produced a lot of toxic energies. So people that actually use this would become sick and ill, and they would have very poor quality machines, which is exactly what orgone and all that. Orgone, what a joke that is, in terms of what people are doing with it. Orgone practitioners are dropping like flies, even the ones not using the toxic evil energy that Welts produce. They're dropping like flies in general because orgone is extremely dangerous just in its natural state because of how filthy the environment is with all sorts of pollutions, radiation, etc. Recently, one of the top researchers in that field, who wasn't exactly young, but orgone cures everything, right? Died. And the point is, there's been many others we can add to that. Actually, a long list, particularly of orgonite users. We have to understand all this kind of technology and understand that this is very unique. The actual mind to machine as one communication has only been developed through my technology and only can be done through very specific ways that I am doing it. No one else has even a clue of how to get these energies into the machine and establish that actual mind to machine communication, which is quite fascinating. This is the next step, and why wouldn't you want to communicate with the essence of it? You could call electricity the blood of the machine, as it you then energize it, bring it to life, and have it assist you with the processes, and you can communicate at a certain level. And of course, you're not communicating at a human relationship level. You're communicating at an assistance level. Thanks for your help. How you doing today, buddy? Why don't we work on manifesting this? So I'm going to send energy into you, and you're going to take it and use it to draw in that particular need that you may have, whether that's manifesting, healing, whatever it may be, or even higher arts of communicating with higher levels of consciousness, etc. Now, real people that have real consciousness and who are able to connect to the streams of empowerment that's open to everyone don't need dope and drugs and alcohol and ayahuasca and all that other garbage that low-level stooges use. The psilocybins, the other things. This is what people who have dead heads, rock heads, have to use to go into higher states of consciousness. And anybody that I've ever talked about or I communicated with or know of that use these or even following them, people like Terence McKenna and others, are really low-level bozos. They know nothing. They claim they talk to spirits, but when it really came time for old Terence, baby, to talk to a spirit that could cure him of brain cancer, nobody answered. What's the matter? Your dopey didn't work, Terence? And that goes. And I've heard even business leaders now that claim to have startups and everything else that they're able to apparently manipulate the system, saying that they get ideas by using a lot of these types of hallucinogens. Well, the point is you're getting fake information that way. You're not talking to anybody. You're not communicating with anything. All you're doing is regurgitating nonsense, gobbledygook garbage from your lower level consciousness. None of these people have come up with anything. They haven't got any practical things. They have stories of pink elephants and snakes the size of airplanes. All their nonsense that they come up with. All these people who want to live in the cop-out, drugged-out world of this fake reality, thinking that, oh, that's the real reality. I'm afraid it's not. You can't bring any of that back and do anything with it. Now, classic shamans who used to do this because they were pretty much uneducated natives living in the jungle, or whether that's an American Indian or some sort of Peruvian or whatever in the Amazon, these people had no other technologies and apparently weren't smart enough to experiment and find out how to do things in a non-drugged out manner. Now, we're really unsure of what these people have been able to do in a shamanic setting, which at least is using something for a particular purpose. So you go there and you communicate with the spirit of that plant because that plant's supposed to tell you how to cure somebody or do other things. Well, there isn't all that many cures coming out of any of these places, and while I'm sure there is a certain success rate, you never really get much potent information out of these people, nor is there much about it. The actual herbal chemistry that we get from plants in the wherever that may be is fairly well known, and a lot of plants may have been destroyed or other things, but there certainly isn't anything coming out that I'm familiar with, and there could be hidden stuffs, etc., that are curing any major diseases or problems out there. So we have to be. Now, we have to be very careful and follow these things through in a logical manner And of course, I'm for anything that works. If it works, I don't care what the process is. You want to eat a dung beetle feces? I don't really care if that's going to get any result. I'm a very result based person. I don't need to analyze it of where it comes from, what is due, what's the mechanics of it. Who cares? Does it work or not? So, but the point is we're not really finding much of that. People are going, I'm assuming most of them are rich little babies who can go to certain places to do vision quests, like Malibu, of course. And of course, the haven for crazy people, Holland. Goo, goo, goo. Let's take it to top. But it's not legal here. No, it's not. So the whole idea is that the things that go on in all these places, but what has come from any of this? Now, whether you like that and that's some sort of recreational high, I guess it's better than hunting animals like Joe Rogan does, and other activities. But the point is, we're not getting anything from this. Terence McKenna wrote several books of meaningless garbage. And that's exactly what it is with all the elves he talked to and everything else. He could do nothing. It's comical. Carlos Castanedas died of liver cancer at a fairly young age. Excuse me, I think he was in his 70s. And 70s is nothing. Daniel Boone lived to be 86. So the whole idea is that we have to understand. Benjamin Franklin is 86. So what's the matter, Carlos? You couldn't live to be 80? So the whole idea is that all of this stuff doesn't add up to much, and we can't get caught up in the fact of what is popular. Everybody wants to take dope, and they want to tune out, and because it's easy. You just sit there, take dope. Yeah, I got the real stuff now. No, you got nothing, and you have nothing to show for it, as none of these psychedelic people do. Now, whether these things can be used in a scientific fashion to help people that have different mental problems and mental states, from depression to other things, well, I'm a big fan of research in those areas. Maybe minute quantities of this can assist the process and can help people to much higher levels of functioning normally. But to think you're going to go from a drug state, and I have now become a person who's totally against all drugs and using anything, including alcohol, etc. I don't think any of this stuff does anything to assist you in higher thinking. If you need that, you're getting, again, a distortion. Even if it's wine or alcohol or whiskey or beer, if you need that to think or to disinhibit you, which is what alcohol does, well, you got a problem to begin with. And you generally do not produce good information. So I've moved away from all of that stuff, and I don't believe in any drugs whatsoever. And certainly I don't believe in mind-active drugs. The point is all you're doing is bringing out whatever is the trash of your own mind. You're not communicating with anything else, especially if you're using things like LSD, etc. And it has limited value, period. Very limited. And I think it should stay in the clinical area, helping people who have severe mental problems, which are numerous out there, and there are numerous types of mental problems. But anything else is a big waste of time. So if you're going to communicate with machines, you're not going to do it because you're high thinking you're talking to somebody. Now, machines are made by thousands of people. What they're made of is like everything on this planet, because there is no artificial ingredient. Plastic is not artificial, it's oil. So the whole idea, it's what it is, like so many other products, is it's taken and used or processed oil. But so is metal. Metal doesn't come out of the ground as a flat sheet. You have to melt it and form it. So the whole idea is that you have all these energies, and obviously these metals and what you use in the batteries and everything else, these are all earth-based energies. And just because of that, they have all of these energies in it. Thousands of people it takes to build a simple device. Who dug it up from the ground? Who found it? Who molded it, transported it? It's, people don't think of the process it takes to make something. And we're not talking about going to the store and, well, I'm going to buy the lumber. Well, who grew the tree, who cut the tree, who cut the lumber, who are the people that form the lumber, cut it into. There's a huge quantity of people that have been involved in this. So their energy is in there to a lesser or greater level. When you're using consciousness type technologies like you're using with scalar machines, you are dealing with all these energies. And that's why, of course, scalar radionics is such a teaching machine. You learn everything you need in life you can learn by doing the practice of scalar radionics. As simple as that, because you are forced to think differently, access and feel energies, and you are doing a lot of judging, figuring out what you need to do to manifest what you want. There's no better teacher in the world than using scalar radionic machines, particularly of the type that I manufacture. Radionics is a field full of idiots, bums, and Satanists, and if you're going to use tech from someone else, God help you, because those people have done nothing and they're liars and deceivers. This is an unfortunate fact. But, when you have something as potent as modern scalar radionics, it has to be controlled because it's too potent. As simple as that. But the whole idea is that mind to machine as one contact is something that has been done, and others are doing it already that use my tech. If you are a person who has used my tech and who has these sensitivity from doing past radionics, once you integrate particular technologies built in a very particular way, because you can't talk to any machine and you can't talk to any tube amplifier. It has to be done in a particular fashion, and you need transmutated electronics, etc. It's an entire process. Now, if you're very psychic and you've been dealing with these energies, some people can feel and have a very low level of communication. You can start communicating if you are at that level, and part of all this energies and everything else is to screen out all the bad people. And the machines will not communicate with you if you're a bad person using your tech for bad purposes. This is all part of this process and the protections that go with this very advanced technology, which is we're going to be breaking out into the public very soon as I start releasing different levels of this technology to the public. But yet again, it's like everything else, advanced technology requires very advanced work and very advanced programming that goes into this. That has taken me 40 to 50 years of research, being the number one expert in this field. So it's an exciting time, but you got to remember that if you think that AI has anything to do with mind-machine communication, you are missing the boat. You don't understand that. There is no artificial intelligence. They're taking known information and compiling it in a particular fashion that you as a average goofball think is impressive, because if you had to write that or put together your table of contents, gee, that's a lot of work. So when it comes out of this kind of a pretty looking but basically turd filled book, you're impressed by it, and that's pretty much what you get from all AI, including when they make little films and other things which are interesting, but when you really look at them, the content of them is really poor and doing a huge disservice. If this kind of stuff, including the books and all the little videos, become what's in our future libraries, we are really in for a hell beyond all hells. Until next time.